Hello and welcome to Straight Talk, Supply Chain Insights, the podcast for your supply chain leader who is on the go and wants to be in the know. And now, your host, Lora Cecere.
Hi, this is Lora Cecere with Straight Talk with Supply Chain Insights. I used to say for the supply chain leader that's on the go but wants to be in the know. But most of us haven't been on the go lately. In fact, I'm going to be taking my first business trip in June for speaking, and I had to dust off my suitcase and repack it. Seems like ages ago, but it's been 14 months since I've traveled, and we're now coming out of a little bit of the issues with the COVID-19 lockdown in the United States, and I pray for those in Brazil and India, and hopefully we can get through this pandemic quickly. But what I wanted to do was start a new podcast series in Supply Chain Insights, Straight Talk with Supply Chain Insights, and this is on leadership. And what I've been thinking about is the pandemic has accelerated retirement of many of the baby boomers that I have worked with over the years who've led the supply chains over the last decade. And what I wanted to do was to try to get them into a podcast series so that their voice could be heard. And this podcast series is on leadership. In each of the podcasts that I'm doing, I ask the person to define supply chain leadership. And then I take an element of the leadership that I think this person exhibited really, really outstanding characteristics. And I ask them to tell the listener a little bit about what they did, what they learned, and what others can learn from them. So it's my hope that this can help everyone to really think about supply chain in a different way, because leadership is at the essence of supply chain excellence. So we're releasing this new podcast series. It will be about 35 different interviews, so stay tuned in. The other thing I wanted to talk to the audience about is the Supply Chain Insights Global Summit will be September 7th through the 9th in Franklin, Tennessee. The focus will be on Imagine Supply Chain 2030. We couldn't have imagined Supply Chain 2020. It was just like, wow, a pandemic, a shutdown after shutdown, no new normal. Very, very different times. But 2030, as we think about what's happening and the art of the possible with new forms of analytics, we think about what's happening as we really start to work on logistics infrastructure, because we're at a point where logistics is a constraint. We've always focused our logistics applications on price, assuming availability, and that is no longer the case with the decrease in air travel and the issues that we're seeing in ocean reliability and some of the issues that we're seeing in road freight across the continents. Logistics as a constraint is a whole new topic for us. And so what we're going to be doing in this conference is I handpick my presenters based upon the Supply Chains to Admire research and the case studies, and ask them to talk about new business models and what they're doing. So mark your calendars for September 7th through the 9th, and we're working on the agenda, and we're hoping that it'll be just really enlightening for everyone that comes. The other thing is I released the pandemic research today on the outcomes from the pandemic research, and that research is based upon semi-structured qualitative interviews with 31 manufacturers greater than 5 billion. Those interviews started in March 2020, and we used the input from those interviews to structure the quantitative survey, where we got 118 different responses. And we were trying to understand what were the characteristics of the companies that did the best in the pandemic. And we found some interesting results from the work that we did. Number one, those that were innovative self-assessed themselves as innovative and had done work in a more focused effort connecting finite scheduling to sales and operations planning to available to promise did better in the pandemic. They rated themselves significantly better on agility, which is the ability to have the same cost, quality, and customer service. And those that were not as equal to the pandemic were actually very tightly integrated into ERP backbones and had not really refined the flows of a mature S&OP to finite scheduling to ATP. So I think that the research is really a positive thing for those that have been working on supply chain for a long time and speaking the language of, I need a platform with a common data model that has a data model that fits the industry, that's tested and refined. It is confirmation that that works in high variability, and it is also confirmation that those that are more innovative in planning and focused on business models that are able to serve the business in the industry did better. The other interesting thing was no one was equal to the modeling required for what-if analysis for scenario planning. Most people reverted to spreadsheets or descriptive analytics, and it really makes us question, what is the role of the planner? Because as we look at what-if simulation, we look at the evolution of the digital sandbox for what-if analysis and the ability to unleash planning from hard-coded IT. I think we have the opportunity to redefine planning so it's no longer planners that have access to this kind of automation, but a wider organization where we can have greater sharing and simulation. And, as you think about this, think about the large organization. So someone like Dow, who has 18,000 people in the back office and 300 planners. The current planning systems are used by those planners, but everyone in that 18,000 back office organization probably needs some insights into planning. And so as we think about how we build better out of the pandemic and we build planning systems that can be used for simulation and used for greater visibility for everyone in the organization, I find that to just be very, very exciting. The other thing that I'm working on that may be of interest to people that follow me is Project Zebra. Project Zebra is an open source effort where we've taken business leaders, academic, and some representatives from O9 Technologies, and we have started to build an outside-in data model using the SCORE model, and also ASCM is working with us on this. And on that, we are going through the definition of the as-is state and then looking at the to-be capabilities and then starting to build the to-be capabilities. This effort will be finished in June, and July will be the test result release, and then we will present some of these results at the conference in September. So when we think about outside in and we think about the use of market data and reduction of demand latency, and we think about how we use graph technologies and rules-based ontologies and cognitive learning to be able to redefine planning, the planner and the planning organizations that we have, I think, look very, very different. And so, follow that work. There's a newsletter that you can access for Project Zebra. If you're interested in the second wave of Project Zebra, we'll be doing a call for business leaders to help us with that in the July period, but I find it to be really exciting. So Project Zebra. Mark your calendar for September 7th through the 9th for our Franklin, Tennessee event. Project Zebra for July results sharing, and listen to the podcast series to be able to hear lessons in leadership from supply chain leaders. Okay, until next time, this is Lora. Stay safe.